Oh, we've just had the news that we've all been waiting for from the FIA. They've confirmed the teams who are in breach of the cost cap. 7 teams have been issued the certificate of compliance to confirm they're okay, but the 3 teams, we initially thought it was just the 2. Aston Martin have confirmed or have been confirmed as being in breach, but there is a procedural breach of the financial regulations, as have Williams also. But they've entered into an ABA, which is an agreement between the two from May of 2020. And then the procedural breach was remediated by Williams in a timely, cooperative and transparent manner, said the FIA. Red Bull Racing have also been considered to be in breach of a procedural breach, and they've also had a minor overspend breach of the regulations. There was no confirmation of what punishment will be handed out of the breach by the FIA within their statement. They've said that this is intensive and thorough investigation by the FIA to look and go through these. The regulations are quite detailed and very technical, and therefore the time taken and needed for these submissions was extensive and long. Now, they've said in respect of this, it's the first year of the application of the financial regulations, and the intervention of the FIA cost cap administration has been limited to reviewing the submissions made by the competitors, and that no full formal investigations were launched by them. Now, they said that they're going to determine the appropriate course of action to undertake with respect to Aston Martin and Red Bull, and they'll announce further communication in compliance with those. Now, in a footnote to the announcement, they did confirm that the cost cap administrations have got several options in dealing with an alleged breach of the financial regulations. It can enter where it deems appropriate into a settlement referred to an ABA, an accepted breach agreement, with the competitor concerned in case of procedural or minor overspend breaches. Or if they can't come to an agreement, we refer to the cost cap adjudication panel. This panel comprises of 6 and 12 judges elected by the FIA with a general assembly in accordance with the FIA statutes. And they've also said that among that there will be candidates proposed by the FIA for sporting members entitled to vote, or a group of not less than 5 Formula One teams. Now, they've said that the procedural breach can result in financial penalties and or minor sporting penalties, as detailed in the financial regulations. A minor overspend can result in also the same sort of penalties. It's only, they've said that only a material breach, where there's a percent of 5% of the cost cap, or more than 5% of the cost cap, if confirmed before the cost cap adjudication panel, that will result in mandatory construction championship points deductions. Now, interestingly, there's been referred to, I've seen it, Ross Brawn in 2009 saying that, look, if there's any breaches of this cost cap, it will be heavily punished, as in you'll be thrown out of the championship, where we'll have championships taken off you, were his words. Now, these are very, very serious regulations. They have real impacts on real people. It's not just on the sporting side of things. Mercedes and McLaren both confirmed that they had to make staff redundant. They'd had to use used parts for parts of the races. And they didn't have the budget to make upgrades, which is crucial for when you're trying to win a world championship, especially one that went for last year so close down to the wire. I mean, we heard Lewis Hamilton in Suzuka saying, look, they were bringing so many upgrades all the way through the season, and we just couldn't. We didn't have the finances to do that. So even though it might be a minor breach, I mean, even they were saying even if a sum of 1 million would have a massive impact on the development, and they wouldn't have had to make people redundant. That's people losing their jobs. Now, Toto Wolff has said a benefit of breaching, it can nearly mean like 3 seasons of benefit. The season you're in, the season after, and then potentially the one after. Now, he's a competitor. I think a 3-year advantage for a breach in the regulations may be an exaggeration, but it's at least likely to affect that season and the following season because you've been able to upgrade parts, or you'll have the staff that you can keep up to, run these and develop these cars. Red Bull initially strongly denied these accusations. I mean, they were going to far as to say that they considered them defamatory and they would consider their options in legal routes for that. And sorry Red Bull, but it looks like the FIA agrees with those other teams, Toto Wolff and McLaren, who were very vocal up and before Singapore, where we expected this announcement to be last week, Wednesday before Suzuka. It's come Monday following Suzuka. Now there's a 2-week gap before the next race in Austin. Let's see what the penalties will be. As I say, it's the first year of a cap, so it'll be interesting to see if they have some leniency with the teams. Will it mean just a deduction in some of the budget for the following season, or will it just be, like I said, an agreement breach, a breach agreement, ABA, with the teams, and we may not get the details of it. Now, they never confirmed within the statement the amount or the sums or any figures to say how much Red Bull were in breach of this. Obviously, it's less than the 5% of the overall budget, otherwise it would have got into a major breach. It's only a minor breach. But like Toto said, I mean, that still could be a couple of £1 million, and that could have a massive impact in development, staff retaining staff. So it does bring in, the integrity of the team and the racing into, disrepute, and therefore I believe personally, regardless of whoever this team is, that it should be punished harshly if you are having an overspend. In terms of the procedural breaches, I don't imagine they'll be massive. There may be just some fines imposed there on those teams potentially, but if you're having an overspend, I mean, like I said, the impact that can have, especially for last season and this season, especially in the last season where the title was so tightly contested all the way through. I mean, these small details would have been massive throughout that, and as we've seen, it came to the finest detail where the championship was won last season. So I mean, this is very big news. I hope the punishments suit the crime. I think that the FIA will crack down on this. I mean, they've been under a lot of criticism recently with decisions. And so this is really big and crucial for the FIA that they get this bit right. It can rectify a lot of the issues that we may have seen them have and the inconsistencies they've had over the last couple of years. The fans are out there waiting. It'll be interesting to see what the punishments are. I'll come to you with news as soon as we see that, but that's where we are. 3 teams, Williams, Aston Martin, and the big one, Red Bull, who are actually in an overspend breach and not just a regulatory breach in terms of a procedural breach there. Let's see how this one pans out. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.